differing opinions, new ideas, they're interested. But there are a lot of people that are a little more restrained about reaching out. I just wondered how you all felt the community in general felt at this time about, you know, having new citizens in our community that were different. What do you think, Joanne?
I think they were curious, but I think we've got headed in the right direction. We have neighbors that are really close neighbors to this place, and we're interested in everything they tell us, and it's all good.
Now, you go to the same church with the family that's the neighbors here, don't
Yes.
you? And your church is one that is filled with members that are several generations, aren't they, from that little community. Do you think you could have I'm not asking you to commit to having one of these. What do you think if you tried to have a listening session at Fountain Methodist Church? How would that be?
Probably work.
Probably work. What do you mean? That's not terribly affirming, Joanne. Missy, what do you think about the people that go, and you know I love your church. I participate with things you do. You are the salt of the earth kind of people. How open do you think Harrison Countyans are, people who are committed to their church, to new ideas of faith?
I think every day, as my mom said, we're headed in the right direction. It's much different now than it would have been even 5 years ago. I see the whole mentality changing, and after being here, I think the more people that interact here would definitely change and find it easier to welcome the different ideas and see that we are a lot alike.
Sonny, I know you haven't experienced a couple, if that's appropriate. Sonny is homeschooled, but she has some attitude to what kids are saying. Would it be all right if they say something to us about that? Okay.
This is the observation when the student want to address the master.
That's appropriate for us to have an understanding of that. One of you goes to intermediate school, is that right? Are you in middle school?
Yes.
And so are you in 7th grade?
I'm in
6th. You're in 8th grade. And are you in, what grade are you in?
I'm in 6th grade.
You're in 6th grade, and you're going to the public schools. Now, did you always go to the public schools?
Yes.
Are you new to, do I call it the novice status, or what? How do I speak of that? Are you new as a novice?
About 1 month old.
1 month old. So all of a sudden you're going back into the public school in a little different kind of situation, aren't you, than before? Do you wear your robes to school? Yes. And when you went to school before, you probably just wore a T-shirt, didn't you? Casual. Is it different now? Do people treat you differently now? What do you think? Have you been a novice very long?
No, not really.
Just a short time. How do you think? Did you go to school here in Harrison County before when you were in school, or you moved from California, didn't you?
No, we moved from Illinois.
You moved from Illinois. Are you?
We're brothers and sisters.
Oh, you are. All right. And so you both had to come from Illinois, didn't you? In Illinois, you went to the public school, didn't you? Well, there's going to be some difference, isn't there? Because people in Illinois don't all act like people in Indiana. Did you live in the city?
We lived in the suburbs of Chicago.
Oh, in the suburbs of Chicago. Okay, I lived in the suburbs of Chicago once, and I know that there are a lot of things different than in Harrison County. So we're not exactly looking at the two same kind of schools, are we? But how do you feel it is now when you go and you have your role? How do you feel about that? How do they act?
They are mostly curious, but they don't really treat me any different than anybody else. They just like to talk a lot.
They like to talk about. Do they ask you questions?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
they
they're
do.
a lot more curious than when I was before.
Do they ask you a lot of questions?
There's a couple of students, but not too many.
Do they act like, oh, you're not different, I'm just not paying attention? Or do they go over in the corner and giggle? Huh?
It's more like I'm just standing there doing something, you just walk over and you're like, so what's your religion about? They're really nice about it.
And so do they play with you? Will they play? Well, maybe in 6th grade you don't play anymore, huh? You know, that's a wonderful thing. I'm so glad to hear you say. Do you think the students are they interested in finding out about new things?
I would think so.
Are your teachers interested?
The teachers, they're mostly just, okay, new student. Yay.
Okay.
They just treat me like a normal student.
Well, you know what? You look to me like a normal student, but probably a little smarter than the average, huh? All right, now, Sunny Sawtell down here in the... Excuse me about that. So you're about the same age. Sunny doesn't go to the public school. She goes to her own school. Would you say when you are around students that go to a different kind of school than you do, how do you think they act towards you as compared to how you see these students in the public school acting toward these students who are doing something a little different?
Well, I think sometimes they are curious about how I go to school and stuff like that.
Do they act like they want to know about it?
Sometimes.
Now, you're around other students that go to public school. Discussion?
A lot. No, not really.
Do you expect there to be some? Do you think so? Do you think kids would talk about it much? Well, sometimes maybe they have to. Do you think they have to get to know you before they feel comfortable sometimes in asking questions?
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah, they don't want to be rude, I would guess, so they don't ask you that right. Or Corden.
We could have.
Is it all one thing?
Corden Central. Central Intermediate too. You didn't even know what school you were in.
Well, in 1 month you wouldn't know. Now, here's a question. Do you take the school bus?
Yes.
Okay, I know where the action is. It's on the school bus. Well, how's the school bus?
Kind of tough because it's jumbling.
Because it bumps up and down.
Yeah, so we can't really hear.
Do kids talk to you on the school bus?
Some of them.
Do kids tease each other on the school bus? Do you see that? Not you, but do kids tease each other on the school buses?
Each other, yes. Me, I just stay alone because I read a book.
You read a book and you don't get sick and you read on the bumpy roads, huh?
No. If I do get sick, I usually just fall asleep.
Oh, well, you've done before in your life, and to help bring that to us. I appreciate you being willing to be, talk to that box hanging up there. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, and thank you. He's a spiritual leader. Is he also your teacher on subject matters like math or?
No, usually I have some homeschool subjects that I just like to just do the homework, just read out of the textbook, and I just turn it in the homework.
In Buddhism, young people who become novices, do they then at a certain age become more a part of the monastery here, or are they still interacting out in the community?
For the young novice like them, so most of the time we like them to stay in one place, especially in the separate area, so that we can have time to train them. And they have to go through some period of time to learn and practice Buddhism, so that whenever they mature enough, they can make the vows to become fully adult monk like me. So
Now, do you go into Corridon and do things?
sometimes he goes down.
Walmart. Oh, well. Now that's an interesting thing, because I think Walmart is very much of a gathering place for a lot of us. That's where, when I come home, that's where I see people and visit. It is a gathering place. And how long have you been here from California? Since last August? I think probably.
Holding that microphone, you know. Poor guy.
Lucky Jonathan, right?
I mean, if we had any more going on right now, we moved out of the residence, and the moving van left Thursday. We left Friday for Washington, D.C. He went along. He fell on the stairs, being all the next morning. The afternoon, I had to wade through, thank goodness someone in staff had gone through all these boxes out of my desk and found my tax papers, having to do my taxes. And then we went to Cincinnati and did that 3-spouse, government. The Ohio.
We talked about one thing, since there is limited tape, but also because we've been talking about.
Yeah, were you able to get when Reverend Takon talked? Couldn't I'd ask some of that stuff back. He's going to be the one that's going to want to say longer things. I think we can get some good things out of the other two if I ask them more. The one I want to ask that question of, I think, well, he wrote that good stuff about it, but I thought you had me down to talk to Mr. Kent about that.
Reverend Kent, both.
You were supposed to talk to both of them.
I know, but I think the question about how do you get the balance between,
Yes.
I think,
Reverend Kent.
yeah, is he the best one to ask? Now, after that has been going on nationally, tell me what's the talk among ministers, among administrators? What do they think they see happening as a result of that within the congregations?
Well, I think getting above and beyond any kind of tribalism or provincialism, God is big, God is bigger, God is greater. And so part of our work as Christians, that's what Jesus was about, was trying to expand people's minds and get them to think bigger and of God is greater than our little constructs that we develop. So I think one of the outcomes has been people able to think maybe God's a little bigger than the little boxes we want to put God in.
I'm interested too.
Prejudices are in direct proportion to our distance from the people we're prejudiced against. So the way to overcome that is to get people together. I have had some people say to me, you shouldn't be so friendly to those people. You shouldn't just try to be good neighbors and be hospitable and cozy up to them. You need to teach them the truth. We know they're lost and going to hell, and you need to tell them that. The irony of that is very few of those people have ever met a Buddhist, much less sat and listened and dialogued with. So we think the best way to get people over that prejudice is to get them face-to-face with someone who they at first think is very different from them, and with time, with patience, and with open minds and open hearts and open ears and open eyes, some of those devaluations of others can be overcome.
What are some of the things your church is doing to...
Our youth director has organized the youth curriculum this year around understanding other religions. So they began with Islam. Second, they went to Buddhism. Now they're studying Judaism. And a part of that education is field trips. So they'll go to a Jewish synagogue. They'll come out here to the monastery. In every way, we're wanting to open people's eyes and expand people's minds and help them to think of God as very, very, very big and not a little narrow tribal God.
Doesn't get any better, doesn't that?
What I've tried to do is to welcome Taekong Dot as I think Christ would want us to welcome him. Christ says, you were a stranger and I welcomed you. There's a long tradition within Christianity of hospitality toward the stranger, and confident in the grace and the love and the goodness and the faithfulness that's been made known to me in Christ. Confident in that, I want to welcome Taekong Dot and anybody else for that matter now, with that same goodness.
Is your goal? What is your goal? What is your goal? Is your goal to, I want you to see the light and come to my church?
No. Neither here or I have any illusions that we're going to convert the other to either to Christianity or to Buddhism. My concern is that he feel welcome in the community, and that and I'm sure that this is his goal too, that all of us can live in peace and harmony together.
How have you seen this all play out in your wider congregation? Are people talking about it? Do you see they look at things different? Are they including them in?
Invited Take Home Doc to come and talk to a joint meeting of our Sunday school. The people in my church, those who've expressed the strongest opinions, their opinion is that he should be welcomed by the community. Of course, my church, According Christian Church, has a long history of this kind of graciousness. So,
do you think this is going to make for a stronger community, or do you think it's going to cause us to polarize and pick sides?
Well, I would hope it would make it for a stronger community. That's my hope. How can we use this understanding of each other's faith as a community builder? Well, I think it's an opportunity to learn more about yourself. My associations with the people here, I've learned more about myself as a Christian. I'll watch Take Home Doc with his people, and it's odd to me, but I'll see myself. He's doing some things that are similar to what I do, and watching him do it, I learn about myself, and hopefully I can be a better leader of my own community.
Now, as a leader of your community, you have an openness, an understanding, and not judgmental. But within your community, there are probably people who have varying understandings of responsibilities of a Christian, and the balance that.
I've not got that much of a problem in my church. My church, as I said, has a tradition of being welcoming and gracious, and though I can understand that might be a problem for some other pastors. I've not run into it myself, and I'm grateful for that.
Now, you had...
I haven't really thought about it, no, but that would be fine. We've hosted this interfaith dialogue group, such as it is. We hosted one of the sessions there, and people in my congregation are aware of the meetings, and some of them do go to this dialogue group.
Well, thank you for doing it.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you. Did we you talking to these chatterboxes here, and that was the greatest. I said, that's the best when you're all visiting in there, because that's really what it's about, isn't it?